Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lead at Any Level Live. I'm your host, Amy C. Waninger, the Inclusion Catalyst. I am so glad to be with you on this Monday, November 28th. We're on the very last Monday of the month. Can you believe it? And next month will be December. Just later this week, December starts. All those cliches about where did the time go certainly apply this year. It seems like we've been in a time warp for the last few years. Maybe it's just me. So I'm curious if you would let me know in the comments or wherever you're watching this, um, what you have planned for the end of the year. Do you have any big events planned at work? Do you have any training planned? How are you going to end the year on a high note at work? For most companies, the fiscal year ends December 31st. And most of us in our brains, at least, the year ends December 31st. So it's time to think about what didn't you accomplish this year that you'd like to? What didn't you learn that you'd like to learn? And let me know in the comments what you hope to finish or what you hope to accomplish before the end of the year. Excuse me. And so with that, and I'll check the comments here in a second, but I want to talk to you about something that's a frequent mistake that people make in corporate spaces. And that is not knowing, are you ready? Not knowing how much money has been allocated to you for professional development, to you personally, to your team, or to employees in general, toward professional development for the year. A lot of employees don't think to ask this. A lot of leaders don't think to ask this for their teams. How much are we planning to invest this year in our employees? Or how much, you can ask your manager, how much am I able to invest in myself? Or is the company willing to invest in me this year for my professional development? And the reason this is such an important thing to ask is most company budgets, like most fiscal years, end on 12/31. So at the end of the year, whatever money you didn't use for your professional development, or even for your events or for your team building activities or for your team training, any money you don't use by December 31st is gone. You don't get it back. You get a new budget on January 1st, of course, but you don't get to use any of 2022 budget after the fiscal year closes. And what that means is you may have thousands of dollars sitting in a line item somewhere in a budget in an Excel spreadsheet that you don't even know you have available to you. And you're down to just about 32 days in the year to use it, minus whatever holidays or time off you're going to take between now and the end of the year. And so what I wanted to talk to you about today is how to get the most out of 2022 before you miss your opportunity, before you lose your chance. Now, there are so many ways you can use professional development dollars in your corporate setting, but find out what those parameters are and how much you have left, and specifically what it can be used for. In some cases, your manager has to approve it, or you may have to go through some sort of approval process. And the longer it takes to get through that approval process, the quicker you need to act to get your hands on those dollars. Find out, can you spend the money on a corporate card? Do you need to spend it out of your own pocket and be reimbursed? What are the deadlines for that? You might want to ask what the approval process is and how long it takes. It may be something that your manager needs to do for you. It may be something that a VP or a senior level manager need to take on for you. But find out what the process is, how much money is there, and what you need to do to take advantage of it, and also how you can use it. And I want to share just a couple of ideas for you. With you about how you might use those dollars between now and the end of the year. So let's say you're taking the last 2 weeks of the year off, or even the last 3, and you don't have a ton of time, to get that time in because you're traveling, or, you've got a planned shutdown or whatever. You might be able to use that money for online courses. And a lot of online courses, if you have access to them now, you get access for several weeks, several months, or even a year or a lifetime. So look into, can you use your dollars for online courses? That's number one. The second one is books. A lot of times we can use our professional development dollars for books. And the nice thing about having a book is it's there when we're ready to read it. So as long as you get the invoice paid and submitted and approved before year end, you might be able to buy some books. Now that might be toward a college course. It might be something for just your own professional development that you're interested in. It might be something for a certification, but don't leave that money on the table. If you are looking to hire a coach, a lot of coaches are offering end of year deals, and you can start the contract right now or start the contract soon. And then that coaching program, you can prepay, for 3, 6, 9 months or a year to go through a coaching program, but you can pay that invoice this year with $2022. Excuse me. Another thing you can do is you could, if you've got money for a team, let's say for professional development for an entire team, is have someone come in and do a webinar, come on site and do a team building activity that's educational, or, even some sort of a group training exercise. Those things might all be approved before the end of the year. Now, if you can prepay this year for something next year, let's say the end of the year is shot, you've got way too much work to do, find out if you can prepay for 2023 training using $2022. Most coaches, trainers, educators, professionals, consulting organizations will let you prepay your invoice for next year. And so that's a great way to make your 2023 budget go farther by using some of this year's dollars if you have any left. And a lot of times we can break up those payments for you and that sort of thing. So if you have, let's say you have $5,000 left this year and you're going to get a whole new budget next year of 10 or 15,000 and you want to sign a $20,000 contract, these are just made up numbers. A lot of times what consultants or trainers can do is bill you part of that this year and then send you a new invoice at the first of the year when that new money kind of is released to you. So again, the more you can find out about how much you have and how you can use it and what the process is, the more you can squeeze some additional value out of 2022. And, I want to remind you too, that you don't always have to spend money to learn something. You don't always have to spend money to develop yourself. But a lot of times that's a really effective way to get access to experts, to get, the best of the best training, or to do some sort of activity that kind of brings the whole team together and gets them on the same page. And especially a nice way to end the year, but also a great way to start the new year. So that's the message that I have for you today. Do not leave value on the table for 2022. There is so much out there to learn and experience and do. So many courses you could take, so many books you could read, so many experts to learn from. And if you are interested in working with me, either this year, I've still got some dates open this year, or into 2023, I invite you to visit me at my calendar. You can schedule an appointment. We can talk about what's available and what you might like to do at workwithlaal.com. That's for Work with Lead at Any Level. And we can talk about some of the options that we have here and how we can work within this year's budget, next year's budget, however you need to work it, to make sure that you're getting everything you need from your employer, from your team, from your company, so that you're putting your best foot forward this year and into next year. I would love to work with you. I would love to know, what is it that you want to accomplish? What's something you didn't learn in 2022 that you were really hoping to be able to add to your resume or add to your team's skill set this year? And let's see if we can get it done. This is a great time for a lot of people to kind of focus on something for just a day or a day and a half, or maybe even a couple hours in the afternoon, to take their mind off of some of the stress of year end. And it's a good way to end the year. So if that's something of interest to you, please get on my schedule as soon as you can, and we'll get this all wrapped up before the end of the year. Now, I mentioned there are lots of free ways to learn and add to your skill set, and I've got a few of those lined up for you this week as well. So let me talk to you about what's coming up this week from Lead at Any Level. Now, every Monday at noon-ish Eastern. I was a little late today because I've got a little bit of a holiday lag, if you will. We did some traveling. We got back. It was a mess around here when I got home. But I am here, better late than never. And you can join me every Monday through the end of the year, Monday at noon Eastern, for Lead at Any Level Live, where I offer essential insights for inclusive leaders. That means you, no matter what your job title, you can be an inclusive leader. On Thursdays at noon Eastern, right here, wherever you're watching this video, you can tune in for the Including You video podcast. Including You is a podcast. We release video and audio every week, and I talk to chief diversity officers and other executives who are advancing inclusion in their workplaces, so you can learn from them and see what's working in a company just like yours. This week, Let me find my dates here. Okay, this week, speaking of learning, I'm going to be talking to Parrish Jefferson from Full Stack Academy. And he's talking about non traditional education, particularly in the technology space, and how people can make a move into tech or move up within tech or build their skill sets within the technology industry through boot camp kinds of training like Full Stack Academy provides. So you won't want to miss that. That's Thursday at noon Eastern on the Including You video podcast right here on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And on Friday, you'll be able to catch my interview with Parrish Jefferson as an audio podcast with the Living Corporate podcast series. So wherever you get your podcasts, search for Living Corporate and you'll find us there on Friday. Throughout the week, every weekday at 4 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, I offer something I call leader tips. These are very short, 3-minute or less videos with one insight that you need to be an inclusive leader in your organization. And this week, I think I'm going to double down on this topic of getting the most out of your professional development dollars. So every day I'll tell you about one way you can stretch your 2022 development dollars. So you have more bang for your buck in 2023. Oh my gosh, I told you. Time warp. So thank you all for joining me. Let me know how you're planning to end the year. Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. How are you planning to squeeze every bit of value out of 2022? You can let me know in the comments whether you're watching this live or you're catching it after the fact as a recorded video. I would love to hear from you and I would love to be able to help. Thanks everyone so much. I look forward to seeing you next week on Monday again for Lead at Any Level Live. Have a great afternoon.